decided to list my 2022 Cadillac Escalade on Turo for 30 days, literally just to see how much money I can make. Yes, I'm renting out my personal vehicle just for you guys. But the real question is, will this luxury beast actually turn a profit, or did I just make a terrible financial decision? Let's go find out. All right, first things first, if you don't already know, Turo is a peer-to-peer car sharing platform where anyone can list a car for other people to rent out. Kind of like Airbnb, but for cars. So before actually listing the Escalade, we gotta make sure this bad boy is Turo ready. Instead of going to a cheap car wash, I went with a hand wash monthly car wash subscription, which ran me $65 for the month, but of course comes with unlimited washes. And although I would have liked to get professional photos taken, it was gonna take nearly a week just to get that on the schedule. So I just used whatever I could take on my iPhone, and I figured that was good enough. Actually listing the vehicle took probably less than 5 minutes. I added the VIN, I added the description, which, hey, shout out ChatGPT, and then I had the photos that I was able to snap with my iPhone. And last but not least, we need to pick a protection plan. Each protection plan or insurance tells you how much or what percent you're gonna take away from every single trip. I'm going with the 75 plan, which means I'm gonna get 75% of the total trip earnings, and my deductible, if any damage happens, is only $250. And boom, just like that, our listing is live. Quick update for you guys, it's been about 6 hours and we just got our very first booking. As you can see on this 3-day booking, I'm gonna make nearly $300, but it's an airport delivery, so let's go drop it off. So as you can see and probably hear, we made it to the airport to meet with the guest, but since I'm not actually gonna be meeting with the guest in person, I'm gonna need this Faraday bag. Basically what this bag allows you to do is it blocks the signal. Obviously with newer cars, if you leave the key in the car, it's not going to lock, or it's not gonna allow you to lock the car. So with this Faraday bag, you put the key inside this little bag, it blocks the signal, so then I can lock the car from my phone. Basically, once the key goes inside the Faraday bag, the car forgets the key even existed. All right, so now the key is safely locked away in the car. I can track the vehicle from the phone, and the guest can easily access it hassle-free. Now it's time to Uber back, which, by the way, is absolutely killing my profits. All right, now let's get into the real reason why you guys clicked on this video. How much did I actually make, and was this whole process worth it? After the first booking, the Escalade was booked out for a total of 18 days out of the month, which is decent, but if you guys remember, definitely not as good as the Volkswagen Passat that I bought for $5,000 about 6 months ago, which was rented out for nearly every single day out of the month. Oh, and by the way, I have a 6-month update on that car coming soon, so if you're ready for that, drop a comment down below. So let's break down some of these bookings that we got on the Escalade that equated to the 18 days booked. The first booking was a 3-day trip totaling $295 in earnings. The longest trip was a week long, earning just about $650. But as you can see on this one, we got them with a $150 smoking fee, as you can see. The shortest trip was a 2-day booking totaling $198 in earnings. In total for the month, I made just over $1,800 in revenue. But honestly, here's where things get real. While the $1,800 in revenue sounds not that bad, renting out an Escalade comes with some serious cost, and not to mention time that we didn't have to put in with the Volkswagen Passat. So let's dive into those expenses so you guys can see what they look like. First things first, insurance. My personal policy runs about $110 a month, and obviously Turo provides insurance while the vehicle is out on a trip, so we're not going to technically factor in their protection plan because the money, that $1,800 number that we discussed prior, is what we were paid out after Turo's fees. And maintenance on a car like this definitely is not cheap. I factored in setting aside about $60 every single month for an oil change, which we can expect somewhere around maybe every other month or every 2 months. A tire/general maintenance fund of about $200 per month. This can be, like I said, tires or any sort of maintenance, but I feel like putting $200 a month towards that fund will keep us on the safe side. The car wash subscription I mentioned earlier, which ran me $65 for the month. And one of the biggest expenses is the monthly car payment. On this vehicle, it's $1,392. And last but not least, one of the biggest things that I definitely did not factor in is the cost for Ubers. Obviously, with this Escalade, most of the trips did come from the airport, so that requires me paying real money to get an Uber back to my location and to go pick up that vehicle from the airport when the guest is done with it. So all in all, I spent almost $400 just on Uber. And not only did it cost me nearly $50 per time to get back from the airport, but it also costed me my time that I couldn't be spending elsewhere making real money. So after it was all said and done, my total expenses were just over $2,000. $2,000 for the month. After all my expenses, all of my time, and Turo's cut, I walked away with about negative $378. Yeah, I actually lost money on this experiment and had to work for free. But why did I lose money? Here are my thoughts. First things first, luxury cars have higher costs, i.e. higher expenses. Like on this Escalade alone, my monthly payment was almost $1,400, which is nearly all the revenue in and of itself. On top of that, like I mentioned, to get most of these trips to happen, they had to be at the airport. With it just being listed at my home location, I wasn't getting enough bookings to attract customers to actually book the car. So I had to have the airport on there, in return only attracting the types of customers that fly in via the airport and not being able to target the local market like I was able to with my economy car that I bought, that $5,000 Volkswagen Passat. Another thing, this is gonna seem pretty simple, but Turo's fees are insanely crazy, meaning 25% of $200 is a much larger amount that you're missing out on than 25% of $30 or $40. We're talking about $5, $6, $7, $8 if you're charging $30 a day that you're giving to Turo in fees, as opposed to if you're charging $200 a day on an Escalade, you're losing a lot of money every single day just to Turo in their fees. And as I kind of already mentioned, having to spend $50 each time on an Uber definitely killed my profits, which is not ideal when you're trying to start a profitable business. And last but not least, the Escalade just doesn't stay booked as often as the economy cars because you're limiting the amount of people that could actually rent this vehicle. In the economy range, you're targeting the most amount of people possible that could rent this car, which opens it up to the local market and people that are flying to your area that just want to have a vacation but don't want to splurge on an Escalade, as opposed to when you have an Escalade, you're looking for a very specific type of customer. So let's get to the bottom line. Was this a bad idea? Well, yes and no. Luxury cars definitely have their place in the car rental industry, but let's be honest, clients are harder to come by and the cars are more expensive to maintain than your economy basic car. But if you're just getting started, I would definitely not recommend a luxury SUV. You're way better off getting a cheap $5,000 to $10,000 car to start this business with. Low cost, high demand, and fewer headaches. The amount of time that I had to put into this Escalade was at least 100x that I had to put into the Passat. I mean, honestly, I never had to deliver the Passat one time. If you're new here, I own and manage a fleet of over 90 cars in South Florida that I rent directly to my customers as well as on the Turo platform. The whole point of this video is to give you a realistic outlook of what it's actually like in the car rental business without any fluff or BS. Because everybody else on the internet is telling you luxury and exotic cars are the best cars to start with. So if you're looking to get started on Turo and want to do it with the proper vehicle, the best overall fit to start this business with in 2025, I put a list together of the best and most profitable cars to start with. You can find that linked in the description down below, and it's absolutely free. And also, as you guys saw me mention earlier, if you're waiting and you want that 6-month update on my Volkswagen Passat, make sure to let me know down in the comments, as well as subscribe so you'll be notified when that video drops. Until then, don't make the same mistake I did. Pick the right car to start with and don't go with the flash. Psst, why haven't you subscribed yet?